Wasn't surprised at all.
No.
I mean, it seems completely makes sense, but that's exactly what I expected.
Yeah, it seemed like just a matter of time for him.
There's no way you can look like that in your 40s. I mean, he's preposterously jacked.
Black belt in jiu-jitsu. Again, buddy, this is how you know he's not thinking clear. You can't fight. I know you think you're tough, but there's levels to that, and he might be a tough guy. And there's a lot of tough guys, and I know he walks barefoot and takes shits laying down and does enemas, and he's tough in his world. There's levels to toughness, dude.
A barefoot, raw meat millionaire rolled into Austin, bragging he could choke out the world's most famous podcaster, and he ended up in handcuffs 48 hours later. The sudden switch from swagger to an ankle monitor grabbed millions of eyeballs. Yet the real surprise is how one quiet move by Joe Rogan may change influencer culture forever. Liver King, whose real name is Brian Johnson, arrived in Texas looking like a gladiator who had lost the plot. Bare torso gleaming, he filmed himself pacing hotel corridors and barking, "I'm picking a fight with you, Joe Rogan." Police were already watching. They had flagged his clips as credible threats, so when he checked into the Four Seasons, detectives were minutes behind. A single felony count for a terroristic threat put him in cuffs. The bond was a laughable $20. The arrest was only round one, and nobody, least of all Rogan, had seen the opening punch that set this circus in motion. Years earlier, Johnson had built a digital empire on the promise of becoming primal. His pitch was simple: eat raw liver, ditch modern comforts, and watch your testosterone skyrocket. 9 ancestral tenets framed the dream. Followers tripled and supplement sales exploded. He flaunted his claim of being 100% natural, flexing a physique so shredded critics joked he had been sculpted in a lab. Fans rallied while cynics rolled their eyes. The myth held until a stack of leaked emails ripped away the veil. Those documents, released in late 2022, showed Johnson spending more than $10,000 a month on growth hormone and assorted performance drugs. Lawsuits landed within hours, including a $26 million consumer fraud claim. Johnson's apology tour began on Piers Morgan, where he mumbled that he felt he had let an entire generation down. Netflix then released Untold, The Liver King in 2024. The film wove together interviews with family members, business partners, and furious customers, painting a portrait of a marketer who sold fantasy as fact. Throughout the story, Joe Rogan's voice called the whole act preposterous. Rogan sensed something was off from the start. On several podcast episodes, he laughed, saying there was no way someone could look like that at 45 without pharmaceutical help. He brushed off Johnson's repeated pleas to appear on the Joe Rogan Experience, asking why he would hand his microphone to a con artist. The public snub stung, and Johnson's resentment simmered even as Rogan moved on.
His family's coming over.
The vehicle?
Yeah.
And these items are for you?
I would take that. Afford anything and everything. Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore. All of this is happening. We're coming to you. I've challenged you man to man to a
By the spring of 2025, Johnson's audience had plateaued, lawsuits still loomed, and Netflix royalties were fading. According to marketing insiders, he needed a headline. He posted a grainy video, wearing a wolf pelt hat and holding gold-painted rifles, eyes wide. He growled, "I'm coming to your town, Joe Rogan. I would love to challenge you to a fight. No one is going to die, but I hope we both get hurt." He even set his hotel Wi-Fi password to an insult aimed at Rogan. Whatever the plan, it ran straight into Texas law. Austin detectives spoke with Rogan, who confirmed they had never met but admitted the threats felt real, especially with Johnson broadcasting his flight details and location tags. In Texas, a terroristic threat does not require bombs or blueprints. Intent and fear are enough. Officers arrived at the Four Seasons, walked Johnson through the lobby, and placed him in a cruiser. A mugshot showed a messy beard and defiant eyes. By sunrise, the image had spread across social media like a digital scarlet letter. Within hours of posting Bond, Johnson returned online, an ankle tracker visible as he bear crawled down a marble hallway. He snarled that he had been in Austin before Rogan and called the city his home. Commenters shouted that he had lost his mind or that this was a publicity stunt. The court issued a restraining order, requiring him to stay 200 yards from Rogan or any family member, undergo a psychiatric evaluation within 7 days, and report monthly. Friends whispered that Johnson was spiraling while his team insisted he was misunderstood. The algorithm kept spinning. The larger question was why he fixated on Rogan. Analysts pointed to pure reach because Rogan's podcast attracts about 11 million listeners per episode. A feud, whether genuine or staged, guarantees headlines. That attention carries a cost. Brand sponsors quietly stepped back, and affiliate codes vanished. One supplement retailer announced a review of partnerships, citing transparency. Johnson's revenue streams began to leak. The stunt was working, but perhaps too well. Rogan stayed mostly silent. On stage at Comedy Mothership, he joked that a barefoot man wanted to grapple him and advised him to buy shoes first. He made no direct name drop and no podcast tirade. Instead, he filed a legal request that hurt Johnson more than any viral soundbite. Influencers took note, deciding that if you cross a line, Rogan may not roast you, he may simply call the police. Johnson then claimed the fight target was Seth Rogen instead, a shift few believed. He spoke in cryptic phrases about venom fights and capitulating a narrative. The day of the psychiatric evaluation arrived. Rumors suggest clinicians flagged concerns but sealed the findings. Johnson kept posting that the content would never stop. He filmed a gift box addressed to Comedy Mothership, promising a present rather than a threat. Police intercepted the package and found freeze-dried bull testicles, with a handwritten note calling them fuel for the primal. The stunt was shocking but not illegal, yet each antic edged him closer to violating probation. Meanwhile, lawyers managed civil suits. The $26 million claims remained active, and plaintiffs argued that the arrest proved a pattern of deceptive and dangerous behavior. If a judge agrees, Johnson could see assets frozen faster than raw liver in a deep freeze. Sponsors already sense liability. A major podcast network has added a clause banning guests with active restraining orders. Johnson's hope of a seat across from Rogan drifts further away. Commentators describe the saga as a cautionary tale about the influencer economy. Outrage equals reach, so the urge to escalate never stops until real-world consequences appear. Johnson admits that before social media, he was rich and anonymous, but after going viral, scrutiny never sleeps. Rogan's paperwork may set a precedent, showing that digital threats can lead to tangible law enforcement. Creators who thrive on shock must now weigh clout against handcuffs. The story still lacks an ending. Texas prosecutors could pursue jail time if Johnson breaks curfew again. Instagram might disable his account under violent threat policies. The drama might fizzle out, leaving only memes of a muscled man in a wolf hat muttering about family honor. Rogan will likely continue training jiu-jitsu and telling jokes, while his only formal response remains a legal affidavit and one stage riff. Sometimes silence delivers the hardest hit. What lessons survive from an adventure that moved from raw meat recipes to restraining orders? Authenticity still matters in the long run. Online theater turns dangerous when performers forget that the stage ends at the screen's edge. In a world where shock sells, the smartest move can be as quiet as signing a court document that says enough. In the end, the Liver King entered Austin looking for a fight. He left with a $20 bond, a beeping ankle monitor, and the cold truth that algorithms cannot overrule the law. Meanwhile, the loudest voice in podcasting delivered his most devastating blow without uttering a word, reminding every provocateur that sometimes the real knockout comes from silence rather than noise. Yet the ripple effects may extend well beyond fitness influencers. Legal analysts already cite this case in brand safety reports as a model for how off-platform behavior can destroy on-platform value. If courts confirm that live-stream threats qualify as prosecutable terroristic speech, agencies will begin inserting no-threat clauses into sponsorship agreements, much like morality clauses multiplied after the Logan Paul Forrest scandal. The next viral tough guy act could trigger not only community guideline strikes, but immediate breaches of multi-million-dollar deals, and that risk to revenue may finally calm the Wild West tone of influencer feuds. Viewers should also take note. Spectacle is not substance. The liver-eating showman gambled on shock clicks, but the lasting image is a cautionary tale about how quickly online antics can collide with courtroom reality. When a personality promises primal truth or declares war on a household name, ask who stands to profit and who stands to lose, and consider whether the loudest voice might be the most desperate. Chasing clout with threats is a game that even a self-proclaimed king can lose. Ankle monitor beeping, empire in free fall, while the audience quietly changes the channel.